How's everyone doing? This is Wilson from the Guided Missile. When playing Battlefield Online the past couple of months, I've noticed a growing trend and I decided that I wanted to talk about it here. Does anyone else feel like the Battlefield community is becoming more and more like Call of Duty? Because I definitely do. I think most gamers would agree that the two franchises have traditionally had a somewhat different base of players. For better or worse, Call of Duty is regarded as a younger person's game. It's more arcade-like, faster paced, and score driven. This next thought's probably going to offend some people because I'm trying to think of a way to describe how I feel about COD, and I really don't know any other way to make the point. But from my perspective, COD's online community has become somewhat toxic. There's a good deal of immaturity and just a lot of hate. Some of that has to do with the historically wild popularity of the game. Some of it has to do with the average age of the player. I think the game itself has been designed in such a way that it really panders, maybe fosters is a better word, fosters the type of behavior that I find fairly repugnant when it comes to online multiplayer games. The open lobbies are a perfect case in point. The ability to whine, complain, scream, yell, verbally abuse, or flat out attack other players in the pregame lobby openly without any accountability whatsoever is the main thing I have a problem with when it comes to COD. Listen, I play the games, and to a certain extent, I really enjoy them too. Just earlier this week, I popped Black Ops in for the first time in months, and immediately I had a smile on my face, and I felt that adrenaline kick in when I heard the music. It really is a good-looking game, with nice mechanics. It might be a little too fast when it comes to dealing with lag compensation effectively, but that's not really the point I'm trying to make here. In my opinion, COD is a me-first game driven by kill-to-death ratio and being at the top of the leaderboard. It's more about personal glory than winning or playing as a team. It's about streaks and perks, and respect is only earned, and I use that word liberally, if you're willing to play a certain way with certain weapon loadouts that the community deems worthy enough. And as a result, everybody seems to have a problem with most of the weapons or gadgets in the game for one reason or another, and at times I feel like I need to have a handbook just to keep up with all of the unwritten rules of the game, because basically every choice I can make results in being labeled a noob by some faceless keyboard warrior who fundamentally has an under-nurtured sense of value and self-worth. And before you flame me in the comment section for that last part, just know that I'm one of those guys too. Perhaps without the over-the-top level of abuse that some people feel comfortable with, but I want to feel good enough. I want to be competitive at the game. I want to be respected or even liked by the community. This isn't intended to be a rant about the pervasive culture of online social media or the startling underdevelopment of truly beneficial communication skills that it seems to have created. Really, it's about the frustration I feel when I'd like to relax with friends while playing online and have to contend with someone else who finds their enjoyment from tearing other people down. You can call it banter, call it trash talk, call it what you will, but there's clearly a difference between banter among friends or within an understood context, like if I'm in a sports bar, and the type of venom that gets flung about online. And again, let me just state this for the record. I've had my moments when playing online. I've gotten into shouting matches with people. I've had message wars. I've cursed at people I've never met. I've accused people of hacking who clearly weren't just because I got completely owned by someone who is light years better than me. I've done it all. And the bottom line is, I've been embarrassed when I did. I wish that I hadn't. I look back and I wonder, what in the heck was I thinking? I try to frame those regrettable decisions as teachable moments. Is there something I can learn from that mistake? Can I handle myself better in the future? Well, honestly, no, not always, but I try. So, all of that seems a bit harsh on COD, and I realize that all online multiplayer games have their fair share of quirks and the ever-present cyber thugs. But for me, Battlefield was a bit less of all of that. It has been a game where communication and cooperative play were valued. In Battlefield, winning was regarded as more important than personal stats, and the game's design even supported the notion that there's many different ways to be successful. A player can influence a game in a supporting role and finish as a points leader by just being a great teammate, even if they have a negative KD. Players are or were rewarded for being willing to make personal sacrifices in critical moments in order to earn an advantage on the field of play. By and large, the Battlefield community was regarded as somewhat older, as being more cooperative, and for appreciating more tactical gameplay. the type of chat you would find in the typical Battlefield round was generally more useful and productive than the chatter you would hear in Call of Duty. In a way, I viewed the Battlefield franchise as hallowed ground among first-person shooters. It's a game that for the most part was still free of a lot of the nonsense. There's no crazy kill streaks, no super soldier perks, no garbage in the lobby, just a lot of awesome gameplay. Slowly but surely though, I feel like many of the things I loved about Battlefield are starting to slip away. The online community is definitely changing, and my typical experience on the 3 to 4 evenings a week that I'm able to play is becoming less and less gratifying. So what happened, or is happening to Battlefield? I can think of about 5 reasons right off the top of my head why I think Battlefield is becoming more like Call of Duty, and here they are. Number 1, the popularity of the game. Simply put, Battlefield is in the ascendancy, and COD stock, or at least that of Modern Warfare, is waning. The numbers are kind of hard to process, and I did try to do some research on this in terms of copies sold and whatnot, but I don't think it really tells the whole story, because the perspective of the gaming community regarding these two franchises is continuing to evolve, and certainly opinions were formed after purchases were made. I think that the sales from the next installment in each series will probably be a lot more telling. In any case, more players means more ugliness, more hate, more uber competitiveness, and a younger composite age for the gaming audience. It seems to me that Battlefield 3 is winning the war among the shooter genre, and more first-person shooter fans have jumped on the bandwagon. Point number 2. Modern Warfare 3 was a disappointment. This sort of seems like a rehash of the same thing I just got done saying in the first point, but it really is worth mentioning. Modern Warfare 3 is what it is. If you liked Modern Warfare 2, and you want to play more of it several years later, you're probably going to like Modern Warfare 3. For what it is, it's successful at what it does. But I wouldn't call it progressive or inspired by any means. I think we can all agree on that. It's just more COD for people who like COD. And let's be real, Treyarch's Black Ops was probably a better game. COD fans who are looking for the game to evolve were left wanting, and I have to think that many are beginning to experiment with Battlefield. A quick look at the player rosters in a server will tell the story. 6 months after the release of Battlefield 3, it seems like there's a fresh influx of new players. I see a lot of lower ranked players in the game servers. Point number 3. The new Battlefield maps cater to close quarters combat and urban warfare more effectively than they've ever done in the past. There are several CQB maps in BF3, most notably Operation Metro. Seine Crossing and Grand Bazaar are a couple others. If you go through the server browser, you can find plenty of dedicated 24/7 Op Metro servers, just like we could see 24/7 Nuketown over in Black Ops. These maps have a lot faster pace than anything we saw in Battlefield Bad Company 2, and I think they make for an easy transition for Call of Duty players. On top of that, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have a brand new CQB-focused DLC map pack, so there's going to be even more Call of Duty action to love within the Battlefield franchise. Point number 4, and this is going to seem like a strange inclusion, but Battlelog. I think the Battlelog interface, although it's a really slick extension of the game itself and it brings an unprecedented level of statistical awareness to the game, it's basically Facebook for Battlefield, and I admit I think it's pretty cool. I use it, I spend some time on there, but unfortunately, and this is the downside, I think it's created the undesirable side effect of turning more and more players into stat whores. Even within my own group of friends, little rivalries are forming regarding score per minute, accuracy, skill, vehicle mastery, etc. Feelings get hurt, and sometimes my friends are annoyed by decisions that are made in-game that seem to be motivated more by the opportunity to improve statistical categories than a willingness to win or help a teammate. And, don't get all twisted up, guys. I'm trying to make a point here, so just bear with me. Because of Battlelog, I find myself making decisions based upon how it will affect my stats, rather than how it will affect my gameplay experience. And lastly, the 5th reason why the Battlefield community is becoming more like Call of Duty: Rena servers. Now, this is a genius idea for whoever was able to get it implemented over at EA, and I'm sure they got a big fat bonus. But this has been the single most influential decision regarding the culture of the game, and I'm simply not a fan. EA has accomplished several things with the Rena server program. They no longer have to pay for these servers, and I'm sure they're making some profit on them as well. In addition, they've been able to hand the reins of control over to the players. Look what we did for you guys. You can have it your way. Play the maps you like. Make your own rules. Control who plays in your server. If you're having a problem with somebody or the way that they're playing, just kick them out, ban them. You can customize your own banners, advertise your clan, so on and so forth. I mean, that all sounds great on the surface. But I view it as somewhat of a profit-driven cop-out. EA and DICE have this built-in response to the complaints that they face in the forums. They say, no problem, just rent a server. Give us more of your money, and you can do whatever you want. Or just browse for the type of server that suits your preferences. Unfortunately, the rent-a-server program, in my mind, has given control of the asylum to the lunatics. And I'm a lunatic. I'm one of those too. I tried it for a month, and I really did appreciate the ability to keep my team together when there were more than 4 friends in the room. But it was too difficult to keep the server active enough to really enjoy it. We usually ended up playing on someone else's server anyway. I, for one, didn't really have a desire to continue making ongoing monthly installment payments in order to advertise my rent-a-server, just so that I had enough players to actually have a decent game when I wanted to play. What's more, though, is this program has given a voice to the player which just wasn't present in Battlefield before. And this voice is documented. You can see it in the server descriptions when you look at the ridiculous rules, and a lot of these COD type stipulations are starting to creep into the game. No M26 dart. If you use a FAMAS, you're a noob, you know, this kind of thing. Unfortunately, this is a voice I just didn't care to hear. I suppose it was there all along, but the design of the game has allowed me to ignore it in the past. Apparently the Battlefield player isn't that different from the Call of Duty player after all. They're every bit as tetchy and whiny and capable of the same level of vitriol. Now, instead of hurling abuse at each other in the pre-game lobby, we're text messaging and sending, you know, PMs to each other through the PSN interface in my case, or Xbox, or, you know, up in the dialogue box for the PC players. And now that the server administrators are personally invested financially in the governance of the game, these players have been given license to act out. I paid my money, I'll do whatever I want. And suddenly a lot of these things about Call of Duty that I came to Battlefield to escape have found their way into the game. And I don't think there's any going back from here. Having said all of that, at this moment Battlefield 3 has still got to be the best shooter on the market, and there isn't another game I know of where I can find the same diverse array of gameplay options and interesting environments. In a way, I just want to feel insulated against the unfortunate nature of the online gamer in the way that I did before. Now, there's all these stipulations and expectations from my fellow gamers that I used to only expect from Call of Duty players. And I'll probably address some of those in the future. That might be funny. You know, we can talk about the no M26 dart phenomenon or something like that. For now, if you have something to add, you disagree with me, or you just want to participate in this discussion, I'd be very interested to hear what you think. You can leave a comment below, or send a PM to the channel, or email us at theguidedmissile@gmail.com. I appreciate you listening to this long rant. I'll get off my soapbox now. Take care. Thanks for listening.